Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ESL 1 Cologne offline qualifiers here in the ESL Arena in Katowice. We just saw a game in which two teams who'd previously lost to CIS teams went head-to-head in their grudge match, and the next game is not so much different. In fact, both these two teams yesterday came out of the gates and had very difficult matchups against two very strong French sides. First of all, of course, Immortals had the difficult task of going up against a resurgent team, Envious, only getting them 6 rounds in the whole game. And speaking to Zach earlier on, he said, this is a team that is driven by emotion. If we get quiet, if we drop our heads, we're not going to win the game. So they definitely need to lift a little bit here as well and keep that emotion flowing. And this will be a loud stage, ladies and gentlemen, I can guarantee you that. Because their opponents also, of course, going up against G2 yesterday with a very strong start on Cash. They played CT very aggressively, but when it came to the T side, their aggressive spending in terms of economy and forcing up constantly put them further and further behind. And of course, Scream and Shox made life hard for them. It is going to be TyLoo here as well. A very loud team. Again, one hearing them, they like to shout, they like to yell. And we'll have to see now which team can capitalize on momentum in the beginning and take things away, Alex. I know you're going to be standing in the arena watching this game. It's going to be a loud one as well. It's going to be an electric atmosphere.
It certainly will be, Mitch. The first point I want to start is I don't know how TyLoo do what they do with their headsets. It defies gravity. Like, have you seen it? I don't know. Is it like maintaining hair? Like, I don't know if I could host like this. Like that's just going to fall off my head. Very impressive stuff. But away from their gravity-defying headsets and into the game, Vendetta, Natu, gentlemen, like, let's talk about this one, because I'm very excited. You can see the smile on my face already. Immortals, TyLoo, two teams who have always been very explosive when they do get into game, and both already in a losing position, which makes this game all that more important. One of these teams is going to be one loss away from home after this game. It's kind of crazy to think.
Yeah, I mean, for me, TyLoo actually looked pretty good yesterday against G2 for the first 9 rounds. Yeah. They were up at 7-2, I think it was, and then there was a 2-on-1 situation against Shox. Captain Mo and one of his teammates, they were playing in B-bomb side, and Captain Mo just peeking checkers a couple of times and getting destroyed by Shox, and then their money got reset at that point because a lot of the rounds were closed, and that's when G2 came back into the picture and just took control of the whole game.
We'll kind of come back to that, but while we do have their names on the screen, I'd love to just address Immortals and their performance versus Envy. We expected so much from these Brazilian side, and it seemed like Envy had their number.
Well, yeah, Envy definitely had their number on Dust too, but we still expect a lot from Immortals. The lineup in itself is pretty solid roster, just pound for pound as well, and we've seen some absolutely blistering performances from pretty much everyone on that team at one point in the last couple of 3 months. So I wouldn't take the game yesterday versus MES too much to heart, really. If you're an Immortals fan or just hoping for South American CS to do well, you know, fear not. I think they're going to be better off today than what they were versus MB.
I feel like that's almost the same statement for TyLoo. Wouldn't you suggest that actually that loss versus G2 on Cash showed promising signs from them as well?
Absolutely, but I think it was a bit of a different way they lost it. TyLoo kind of made things very hard for themselves with the poor economy handling.
Yes.
On the other side of Immortals, they just kind of got outplayed. They had a string of rounds, I think it was 6 rounds in a row, and then Envy decided just to shut things down. And sometimes that happens when players get hot. MBK and Apex had two great performances for Envy, and at that point it just gets really hard to do a whole lot, really. You're not really making it harder for yourself, it's just that the players on the other side are excelling.
Now, Natu, just while the names are up, are there any individuals that you'd like to highlight? I know we talked about Mo and his play in checkers, but is there anyone else that kind of strikes you?
Well, I mean, the interesting thing about this lineup is something we addressed previous as well, is that the depth in individual skill in this lineup is just actually nuts, because it doesn't matter if one player is not coming into the game, then you always have another one. But if you want to pick one, then Fancy would be my pick. It's just the up-and-coming kind of a young player who's been struggling against the bigger teams, I think, but especially in the Asian minor, he was playing relatively well for the most part of it. So I think he's a player that has a really high skill ceiling, and we can see a lot of explosive stuff from him.
Now, yes, Cash was played, yes, Does 2 was played. Does that affect this veto in any way, knowing that they both conceded a loss on those particular maps? The veto is ready, and of course we do ban down to 1 map if this is your first taste of the offline qualifier. Gentlemen, what do we think here? I mean, me and you were talking just off-air, Vendetta, and we kind of narrowed it down to 4.
Yeah, well, Train is definitely going to be gone because that's the instant veto for TyLoo, and well, over the side of the Brazilians, it's probably going to be Overpass to be the first to go.
I don't think we're going to see Dust 2 either, because it's not a map that TyLoo really plays all too much either.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and well, in addition to that, none of these teams really have have shown that they play Nuke a lot. We've seen one game from Immortals on it, and that was at the Miners versus Optic. TyLoo, on their hand, they've just kind of gone to it as one of their bans.
Yeah, I think it's down to 3 maps really, in my opinion. It's Cobble, Cash, or Mirage. It's going to be one down to the preference of these teams. What do they want to face on each other?
I mean, where do you stand on the discussion surrounding playing a map that you've recently lost on? Some people suggest it's that like if you play it again, you're almost guaranteed to do better on it. Some think it's a foolish idea. Where do you stand, Natu?
I don't mind if if the map is something you usually play good on, then why not go back at it? I mean, there's also a lot of variables that can go wrong in a single map. So if you're just gonna not play a game or a map because of a previous game, I don't really think that makes sense at all.
So we're going towards either Cash or Cobblestone as the remaining 2 maps. They were within our ban restrictions, and so it's down to TyLoo. They have the choice between Cobblestone or a repeat of Cash that they did play versus G2, and it does look like they're going to get it. Now, this gives us a perfect opportunity, and both of you, I'll let you kind of dive into this, because we saw TyLoo on Cash, and we saw some promising signs and some awful signs. Let's start with the bad things. What did TyLoo do wrong on Cash in their game versus G2, Natu?
They bought way too much.
Yeah. Right.
They forgot there's save rounds in this game, and I mean they have this interesting style of playing Cash where they just leave middle open. I think you put it nicely. You can't plan in middle, so why hold middle, right? But obviously that opens up a lot of opportunities for teams to do splits to bomb sites.
Yeah.
But they seem to be able to still hold the bomb sites very well, and it's so counter or like the total opposite from what everyone else does, because a lot of people put a lot of emphasis in middle, and they know A side on Cash is very retakeable, so they'll just play the retake style on A bomb side and put more emphasis on middle and B.
But that goes very in thread with what they do on Cobblestone as well, where we were kind of surprised to see how they play their CT sides, right? They don't really mind. As long as you can't get on a bomb site, they're okay. You can have all the map control in the world you want, because they really put a lot of trust into their Crossfire setups and how they actually play together as a team, which is cool to see, especially when they make it work. But for the better part, they just need to be wary of their economy here going into Cash, because if they start doing the same thing, that type of thing they did versus G2, then I think they're going to get stomped.
Okay, well, TyLoo do start on that T side, so just be careful of the Force Spies. Do not be scared to eco, and we'll be seeing hopefully a better showing from TyLoo. A very exciting team, there's no doubt about it. Their high sensitivity as well is so visible. That's my takeaway from this, just because you can see how quickly these guys can make adjustments that you wouldn't otherwise see in most European styles of play. In the interview, actually, Scream said they gave us a lot of control. It was intriguing that actually they felt like it was a huge mistake on TyLoo's part, because they could just walk up highway.
Exactly, yeah.
But it worked, right? I mean, let's just kind of go back to the end of it. TyLoo were managing to hold without having to even be present in middle.
Yeah, and when you're playing such a passive style as well, you're heavily relying on actually having utility and obviously proper teamwork to hold off these pushes, and that's where TyLoo burned themselves. My tiny worry for TyLoo is the fact that obviously there's been a bit of a break since they played Cash. There's definitely been time for Immortals to actually look through the demos and see what TyLoo did. Not that I got to see too much, I guess, variety on TyLoo's T side, but they can definitely find some holes in the CT setups on the Chinese side.
It's going to be interesting to see if Immortals is gonna have some horrible flashbacks from the MLG qualifiers that lost to G2 and Dust 2, and then lost to Flipside in the best of 3 that started off with Cash, losing to 5-16. So this could be a flashback game for them. So old demons
PTSD
coming back.
all over again.
Round it out, guys, with a prediction. What have you got for me?
I am actually going to side with TyLoo simply because they had the more impressive showing the first day.
Okay.
If you could put it that way. I'm hoping that they can keep their economy under control.
A little less words from you, Natu, but give me a team name.
Immortals is going to win it. They just have more experience playing against bigger teams, and I don't think they're faced with what happened yesterday.
Let's get into it then. It's a battle of redemption between TyLoo, the Chinese side, and of course the Brazilians, Immortals. Both of them are already on the ropes. 0 and 1. One of them will, go 0 and 2. Your casters are ready for this one. It's back on Cash. Let's see how it goes down.
Thank you very much, Alex. And yes, one of them will lose here. And I don't actually know which one, because actually I was very impressed with TyLoo. This is my first chance and opportunity to cast them, so I'm actually really excited. And what a great opponent in the fact of Immortals as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a battle once again of the validation between regions, considering
it really is.
Like, China's still fighting to finally get themselves into a major, and for Immortals, these guys as well. Like, Luminosity's already proven that Brazil can bring some real talent. They're trying to prove that it can be a consistent thing, that, yeah, we can bring another team into the mix here now, and we can definitely be a force to be reckoned with among the majors. As last time, it was a bit unfortunate. They slipped out at the MLG MLG qualifiers for our last major, and this time they're trying to make it again. Their first test was a little bit difficult against Envious, but now they have sort of an even opponent going against TyLoo.
They certainly do, and we are into game, so let's not miss any of the action here. Immortals will be on the CT side, TyLoo sitting up on the T side, and already a lot of the win conditions were written in stone almost by the analysis desk here, especially for TyLoo, as they had so many kind of, I guess, I'd say very obvious errors or mistakes throughout the game, mostly around the economy, and this is a very passive stance. This is a very passive style that we saw at the beginning against G2 as well, seeing if maybe there's a play towards them. It's a very slow push, and last time it did end up in an A hit, a couple players through towards Squeaky, a couple through main, but again, so much time to play with here. It was around 40 seconds last time they actually started to make some play off the back of it.
But TyLoo taking things very passively here on the pistol round. Everyone's sitting back right now, not moving an inch, and it's sort of the same thing for the Immortals. The shifts start to happen now, though, with about a minute left on the clock. TyLoo starts to warp their players closer to the B bomb site, still keeping the bomb center towards mid, but it is on its way to group with the players hanging out in the back B halls right now.
Yeah, and Bolts being boosted up can pretty much be a real bastion on the A site, allowing Phelps to rotate as quickly as he'd want to. But that aside, still very little commitment from TyLoo. All the utility, well, actually split between Fancy and Mo, so those two are able to make the plays, but it looks as though Showtime and Lucas will be the ones fully challenged out. The fake out play towards A is in progress. That's been dealt with, but here comes the real meat of the push. It's Lucas to greet DD at the door, but the rest are starting to make their way towards the site, but great play from the Immortals so far.
And now moving back in, Captain Mo along with Attacker going to try to bounce this back for their team, but already taking a lot of damage here too. It's going to be tough. They've gotten onto the site. They should be able to find a plant, but on the way back in here, Phelps is looking for some marks onto these players. Captain Mo watching out for the heaven push to make sure that they're not going to get pushed from that direction. Immortals, though, are very calm about this, slowly shifting their way back in. They want to go all at once here. Got to be careful, though, and thankfully their first mark meets its target. And he moves in, finds his first takedown. Attacker, though, has to switch out a pistol, and look at him trying to shift around, but he just cannot close out in another one, and he's going to shut it down, and the Immortals will win the pistol.
What a frantic way to end that round. That guy was here, there, and everywhere, just shaking as the push came in. I think Alex sums it up pretty well on the desk. These guys clearly play with insanely high sense if you just watch that end clip. But still, bomb plant in the first round, probably going to mean the T-side's just going to completely forgo this one. Maybe very light utility. Oh, okay, no, I'm lying. They're buying to about 2k. That's fine. They're not going too crazy. I got a little worried when I saw Attacker getting this easy with armor. Like, no. Don't do this already. But okay, let's look at the other side of things. Because Immortals straight on the SMGs. And what a shot from Mo! Just plucks Henny straight down mid. And that's a good way to start things off with that P250.
So with that one, the guys from TyLoo get a bit of an edge. Mid's going to be wide open now because of this one. The Immortals don't decide to compensate for it. Bolts is kind of just face-checking highway every now and then, but for the most part, it's the 2-2 split, and both Showtime along with Luke is heavily committing themselves into that B-bomb site. TyLoo, they were going to take the advantage of the earlier frag that they did find against Henny, and everybody's just going to overflow into middle right now.
What timing they go for? It is going to be a pretty quick play up just to try and work off that initial pick that they got. Penny gone. Has anyone tried to get to snapbacks? Has anyone tried to get info? No, of course they're not. They're going to sit on these sites, just dig in deep, turtle down. And I'm wondering where they're going to end it. As Fancy is over by B, so they could easily do a vent split here, or he might just be trying to sell the fake, because Bolts is getting a little bit nervous as well. They're starting to push out, though. Phelps being able to do this is going to get so much info, or just put himself in a really good spot if they try and hit A. And again, Bolts is going to be the man with it all to do now. They are pushing up towards Highway, finds one, sprays towards the second, just gets outdone. DD just does the damage with the P250. This is starting to look a little worrying here, and actually Immortals need to be careful to not drop this one.
Showtime, driving that kill onto somebody, and now they're going to be able to funnel their way out onto the A bomb site, taking control from there. The Immortals, though, now shifting their way closer to this own bomb site. As they move back in and look for the retake. However, they are leaving themselves pretty far back to start this off, so giving the guys from TyLoo a lot of room to line up post plants.
Yeah, I would have said Phelps was in a good spot here, but Fancy's already checking it. Attackers call out Lucas. This is great deals of damage coming through now. Showtime and Phelps left to do it all, and they can't achieve it. Phelps works his way in, and these P250s are absolutely sublime from TyLoo. What a sick performance from DD then.
Also, just look at how low they get the members of TyLoo too. DD, Fancy, and even to a certain degree Attacker were all just around half of their health pool. So, in theory, with the greater gun power, Immortals should have been able to roll in and clean that up, but they're too quick to find the frags. And so, with that now, the guys from TyLoo immediately upset the balance, and Immortals aren't even going to look for the aggressive response to this. They're going to give them some respect and just go right into the save here. So, now they'll have the very heavy advantage coming into this third round.
Okay, so eyes on the likes of DD. Attacker, just see what they can achieve. They're the ones who want to be at the very forefront of this, kind of collating all the frags, build up that bank as best they can, because they still just turn this. They do want to start building up their own money here, very much on a knife's edge still, and I wouldn't put it past the Immortals to be able to do a fair bit of damage themselves and to get some of these guns away possibly, but with all those mollies in place, it's very easy to clear out these corners, and I think Bolts might have just been spotted there. Not sure if Mo wants to be the first one to take the fight, but he goes in anyway. He's got the rifle. Good bit of, tag towards attacker, but by now they're still building towards site. It's down to Henny to do anything if someone wants to come out of this round.
Fancy finding that first pickup onto Henny, eliminating him. So pretty easy clearance of the site now over here for the members of TyLoo to try and pick up a second round. Showtime and Lucas are going to try to round around the backside there, going through the garage, but somebody's there, and somebody is going to find both of the final kills onto the members of Immortals. No progress at all being made by Immortals that time, even to do some economical damage. Everybody from TyLoo maintains themselves, and that's going to be a nice start to build up a bank now for this T side, while the Immortals were still saving, but they actually go right into this round on a force, which could cause a bit of a surprise, considering it's not going to be the best buy up here. Most players are working with FAMASas, and Henny is going to go for the glass cannon out buy.
But considering DD and Fancy are sticking on the SMGs, you're certainly right. Maybe they are going to be caught out a little bit here, but I'm wondering how they approach this. Do they just go and try hit up a big B hit? And it looks like they're going to go for it. Those mollies could do some incredible work here. Let's see if it works out. Lucas and Showtime going to need to perform some biblical proportions at this point. They just get overrun in the end. Fancy and somebody just power through the site, leaving 3 alive. Bolts, Henny, and Phelps just sitting back and watching. Phelps is going to try his luck through vents. He does catch out somebody, but now a 3v3, not an easy retake here.
Attacker immediately finding the trade for the earlier kill. Phelps had grabbed it. Now he's got full control of Checkers. Henny trying to just fire off some blind shots inside of Checkers with that op, but he's not connecting. And you can already tell this is going to be a save call coming out for the Immortals now. No way they can pull off that retake. The force has failed, and TyLoo make it through at one of their first big tests here, giving them a 3-1 lead.
That is absolutely fantastic. Now, okay, Henny and Bolts should be able to maintain these. I'm not sure how much they're going to lose out, because I can imagine DD wants to get maybe a rifle. He's going to trade up to that and get themselves out there. As said, the economies on both sides were, a little bit worrying. 2 of the players from TyLoo were pretty well set, which is DD and Attacker at the start of this. They're already on 7k, pretty comfy, but they still want to build that up. We saw that they had troubles in their previous game maintaining a good economy. It kind of ended up them a lot of force buys. So this is a brilliant start. But this is still early days for Immortals. They are certainly just warming into this. And once they get their head around it, you could probably start assuming they're going to put up a bigger fight here.
So now for TyLoo here, still having the investment going up against the Immortals. So they'll have to deal with players like N1 and Bolts. But the pistols coming out for the rest of these guys is definitely going to be easy tidings to try and take down. So for TyLoo, it's very fast-paced again to line themselves up early on in the round. Going in to take mid-control. Fancy, make sure that nobody else peeks out from sandbags and whatnot to prevent early kills from coming out. And beyond this, the only real presence they're going to have here from the CT side in middle is going to be what appears to be Phelps just around the corner in white box. He's not even going to stick around, just falls back up highway and lets them have this control. This is very dangerous. This has been a common theme now, as TyLoo always managed to get mid-control very early on in the round.
It's quite ironic considering they're not exactly attentive to either on their CT side. They very much leave it open, so maybe trying to work their way through it themselves. And it's going to be Phelps and Henny probably the first to respond. Phelps spots them out, but it's going to be Showtime actually picked up from Connector. So again, the last players are just digging into these sites because they don't want to lose that AWP for one, but at the moment, TyLoo just seems like they've got such power to the way they're playing towards this.
TyLoo start to fall back a bit now, regrouping with Fancy, who has the bomb in hand. And looks like they're going to shift a lot of their players inside of A main, going away from this. The problem, though, is this has been scouted out, the fallback. This is Phelps pushing very aggressively up through middle. He's going to try to line up the shot, and for whatever reason, DD goes for a swap on his weapon. That actually ends up causing his own death, so Phelps is going to pick up the frag there. Has another rifle in hand, too, and now they're going to get the read into this play. There's 2 pickups from Henny. Finds somebody in Captain Mo, looking for some more, but Fancy striking back. Takes down the player, back over there by the quad position. That's going to be Bolts going down. They also take down Lucas, who rolled out from the truck position, and he finding another shot, though. It's a shoulder pickup against Fancy, and all he's got left to deal with is Attacker.
Henny has absolutely destroyed them so far. He's got one more man to find its attack, and he's still got support in the form of Phelps, but still Attacker makes it to the site here. Gonna look for his opportunity towards highway, not gonna get it just yet. Henny moving in for the kill, and he's not gonna get it cleanly. That flash did not work out as intended. Attacker changes time, and look at it. Speaking of time, down to 3 seconds. Henny in the end does close down, and what a just insane performance from him, just watching as they walk through main. Perfect shoulder play off the back of it too, just keeping tabs on anyone pushing out. And well, thank God they saved that AWP, because how much of a difference did that just make?
It absolutely shut down the entire offensive there, so that saves their butts big time now. And for this, it brings them back immediately into the game, and they're actually going to upgrade it right now to a double up setup. And he's still working with his, of course, but now Showtime is also going to be picking one up and trying to work with it. The guys on TyLoo still going with the buy, though, because of how dominant they were in quite a few of these rounds. There's actually still a bit of cash left over on players like Attacker and DD, so they might not even be done just yet after this round, but still be looking to strike back here, and it's going to be a pretty direct A play once again.
Which isn't necessarily a bad way to forgo having double AWPs. You just kind of play all in towards one site. Not sure if they're reading the economy that well, or maybe assumed it might happen, but if so, this actually could work out pretty nicely, assuming they can get past Phelps, and this kind of, I guess, a very cheeky position at this point, because here come the flashes. They don't check this. Perfect flash will actually blind him, but now he's going to be let loose. This could be an absolute massacre here. Phelps at the helm, joined in by Bolts. There's Henny coming in. Lovely play around the back of it. Very unorthodox position coming out, but Fancy now surrounded, gets shut out by Phelps, and that position alone just caused absolute havoc.
Big mistake in not checking in. That's entirely what allows the round to go into the favor of the Immortals there, with Phelps just being free to find all these frags. Not a single point in the round was he under pressure whatsoever. So Fancy trying to recover here. Essentially just trying to rack up as much damage as possible, but he will eventually be taken down there. And that allows us to tie things up now with 3 rounds for either team. TyLoo still with enough cash left over to justify a force up. 3 AKs, a Galil in Fancy's hands, and Captain Mo having to downgrade to a Tech 9.
And now you start to see Immortals with all that utility as well. It started being like, okay, now they've got the double orb. Now they've got the utility. They're starting to get that strength behind them. That does mean these guys become even more deadly in case they need any help. But at the moment, 3 players dedicated towards this B hit. Phelps, they're going to pull himself kind of in towards those vents. You've got Lucas and Showtime towards the B site. So TyLoo needs to be pretty careful on this. If they make a half-handed or a needless play towards B, they could run into a bit of a stack they probably don't expect, and this has left A pretty vacant, honestly. You've got Bolts sitting back at the truck, probably just going to play retake on it if needed. So an interesting way to play with these double orbs.
Reed ends up being quite potent, though. 3 of the members of TyLoo starting to shift their way over towards the site now. There's going to be plenty of defenses ready to hold this from the Immortals end of things. Phelps specifically up inside of vents. He actually fires up a bit early, but still picks up the kill. Very quickly retreating away from there, however, but he gets out alive after eliminating somebody. Now dropping back in. DD's actually going to be able to hold his own there, but at a heavy cost. He's down at 6 HP now, and they still haven't even gotten close to finding a way into the site. They're stuck outside of Team Main with a lot of room to break and only 45 seconds to do it.
They have so much, they have so little progress around the rest of the map as well. Attacker was considering A for a little while, but didn't really make much of it. No play through mid. They're pretty much left on this. And still with Showtime and Lucas just waiting there. And if, well, Showtime's going to back out of this one. Maybe expecting more of a rotate, but I think Lucas might have heard some steps, and they certainly are going to do now as the flood's about to begin. TyLoo are going to make their way towards the site. Showtime is flashed out completely. Lucas sprays in wildly, does find DD, but there's still more to go.
Now moving back into the site too. Lucas is just trying to frag. There's 3 players to take down, but he cannot eliminate any of them. And all of a sudden, look at this now! Oh my goodness! Bolt just walks right in, but he can't pick up anything. He was so close. And all of a sudden, everything is in the hands of Henny. And it's going to be so hard to pull this off. Finds the connection, but only does a very small amount of damage. And with Attacker jumping up on top of the trip stack, he takes down Henny from heaven. And once again gives the lead back to the Chinese team.
Oh, this is going to be a brilliant game, I've got a feeling. Back and forth the whole time after what was such a really direct way to dismiss that initial play towards B. Immortals just kind of crumbled. They started to guess, I guess, second guess. They started to fall away from the site, started to play away from it. And as soon as that happened, you could see Showtime regretting it instantly as soon as he walked off. He was like, and now you push? Are you kidding me? Anyway, going into this, we see a good couple of smokes going down towards mid already. TyLoo maybe going to try and quicken the pace here, maybe try and punish what they've got going on. Looking towards mid, see if there was maybe that kind of counter boost coming in. They're trying to isolate any players coming in close, always looking for these trade-ups, making sure they don't drop guns here. But this is a bit of a forced-up round from Immortals. They do have some weaponry left over. Still got the AWP with Showtime, still got Phelps on M4, Luke's on the M4, just the 5-7s there with Bolts and Henny.
Again, you can see them already checking over towards Highway there to start their path into the A-bomb site. But Immortals have gotten a lot more aggressive themselves now. Phelps all the way inside of A, I mean, deeply embedded in there. Try and stop them from even starting this takeover in this direction. And I think it's worked, to be completely honest. The shift from TyLoo is going to be very fast. The bomb wrapping all the way through T-spawn into the back B hulls, and now moving its way closer to the B-bomb site, getting ready to push in there.
So, 53 seconds left. Again, down to Lucas and Showtime, and no one has it. Well, Attila Life, Phelps has a lot of info. Not much towards B. He's going around the back, and Showtime just missing by a whisker. Actually hits that one, but now finally the shots are going to start to land. Showtime dancing between the flames and the fire coming in. It's Henny to save the day, who just tops out on top. And if there was a pressure moment to save yourself for, that was certainly it. Showtime just about making those shots count when they mattered.
Someone would have had closer to like 4 kills there if the environment wouldn't have stopped getting in his way. First shot he fires off, I think it clips off the box right in front of him because he moves too quickly, and the second shot goes through a wall. So probably would have been a little bit more potent there and a little bit less risky of a closeout had he been able to connect those first couple of shots. But regardless, they've strucken back, and now again, we see the force buy coming in once more from the side of TyLoo. 3 rifles, 2 upgraded pistols coming in on both Somebody and Fancy. They still want to keep this close. This is still a little bit justifiable considering the close scoreline and the fact that the Immortals themselves are still trying to establish their CT side economy. But after this one is where that force buying will start to get a bit kooky.
if this happens again and he doesn't get checked, I will be in such a bad way. Last time this was a complete slaughter because no one really played it where Phelps was. He's playing around the edge of that smoke. It's pretty deadly, but I think he's got a good idea what's coming his way. So he's actually going to back out of that one. Not going to outstay his welcome here. Going to respect a little bit of this, but he's desperate to go back in. He's waiting for that molly to go out, and Bolts is there too. And actually, the rest of TyLoo hadn't pushed out yet, so they're going into a bit of an uphill struggle. And already, somebody on the flank comes out with a P250, does the damage. There's Mo doing the work, and already TyLoo have broken into the site. It was messy, but it seems like the T side of TyLoo do manage to pull it together just in time. So, down to a 3v3. CG side definitely can retake this. We've seen the damage that coming out of Henny, for example, and Showtime. So, let's not ride him out too early on this, but still good positions coming out for TyLoo to hold this one down.
Molly in the hand of Lucas. If he throws it back towards quad, that's actually going to force this double stack outside, and there it goes. This is going to be a huge Molotov if it connects in the proper position. And
is it too far?
I think it landed on top. Where is it? Oh, that sucks.
Yeah,
it goes a little bit too far past the gate. And now it's going to be entirely useless, but still, they're moving back in. They brought it down to a 2-on-2. So much time has been wasted that they need to jump onto this bomb, and they didn't even realize it was a double stack, so Fancy just denies it entirely. Lucas is going to finish off the remaining members of TyLoo, but that double stack, because that molly missed, it does allow TyLoo to win this round, but at a very heavy cost. All 5 players go down, and you have to note they were forcing up on that one to begin with, so it's not going to do the T side any favors to build up a bank.
Oh, that really sucks. You've got to almost assume when you're making the push in off the back of that molly that it has worked almost. You can't just assume that it's gone too far. You may be thinking, oh, I'm not sure if that's spot on because normally there'll be a player sitting by quad, but at the end of the day, it messes up and it does allow TyLoo a chance of redemption. These opening smokes will allow him to make the peaks down towards mid. Again, so much freedom to work here for TyLoo. Immortals, don't get me wrong, they are on the pistols, but this has been a consistent fact throughout even the... Hello? All right, Phelps. All right, don't worry, Mo, just don't look down. If you don't see him, he won't see you. That's how it works. Okay, so that's a free pickup, but sadly he didn't actually get the gun out of it, so Phelps just wanted to back away, didn't want to outstay his welcome or stay too long and lose out there, so they will be just passing that rifle back away, trying to make it as unrecoverable as possible. And Bolts is still walked through A main, so considering the amount of information and map control Immortals are getting, I'm surprised they're not making more out of it.
Attacker going to be moving his way in, but Phelps holds the line, picks up a first kill at least, and this is still helping these guys out. And now with Bolts going aggressively out, he's gotten control of the bomb. Fancy's almost going to be caught in the back. Good turnaround from him to eliminate the Immortals player, Henny, but still, now they're in a 2-on-3. They've lost bomb control. They will be able to retrieve it, but they're starting from rock bottom in terms of map control.
So much information with the Immortals, so much room to work. And look at Showtime and Lucas. They're literally wrapping around the back. They know these guys are around here somewhere, and that boost might just be spotted out. Showtime can hop up on the second box, and he spotted it perfect position. I don't know if you can shoot through that so cleanly. And I think he's found that out as well, but Fancy takes a bit of a hit. Lucas dances perfectly, gets the bomb on his side. He knows exactly what's coming his way. Somebody not exactly being subtle about it, has 20 seconds, but plows straight in towards Lucas, leaving a 1v2 now. Showtime, he's heard those steps. So already you can tell Bolts to get ready for this one. The cross actually could just come straight through. It has. And somebody's going to get a plant out of this. Suddenly, we're back in a possibility here for TyLoo.
Now they just get ready to explode onto the bomb site here. They have 2 angles to work with too. So in theory, if they play this correctly, they should be able to easily overwhelm somebody. But they've actually got to spot him on the site first. He's a bit crafty with this, trying to bring it down to 1v1s. But he's being approached by a headshot box, but a good flank around to the right does allow him a 1v1 against Showtime. The last one, he closes it out against Bolts. Big clutch from somebody. And again, the Chinese continue to dominate here. 4-6 now, establishing a bit more of a lead.
What a brilliant play. Able to isolate those 2 1v1s in that situation is difficult as you like. And that retake was built to be able to face as 2 almost. 1 peeks, 1 pushes, and they make sure they crunch together. But no, nicely played from somebody, not looking, too pressured, even though that was incredibly a high pressure situation. Words are hard right now. 6-4. TyLoo are in the lead, and this is a bit of a scrappy battle, but I'm not gonna lie, it's a pretty sick one to watch. Phelps might just be positioned up over mid at this point. There we go. This could work out very nicely, depending on the timing. Let's see how it goes. Somebody's watching the mid push up, but not from this angle. So somebody's walking around. Phelps has got a couple of seconds to get away with this. Somebody's going to find out right about now, but the timing's just off. Phelps needs to do as much as he could, but he only gets 1 in the end. But still, a good deal of information found there. But already Fancy in a good spot by A. This is kind of worrying.
I think that's where Immortals definitely favoring the retake position, but you don't see this too often on the gun rounds. Normally this is like a pistol round strat that you reserve it for because of the fact that you want to have a full 5-man retake force coming in. TyLoo, though, it seems like things are a bit too calm for them on that A bomb site, so they do call it off, and they're now rerouting a lot of their players closer towards the middle to what I can only imagine is going to be a shift closer to the B bomb site. A few more maybe working their way out towards mid to take control of the vents too and push in from there, but this is definitely being shifted up to a B hit.
And so far, these have been incredibly successful. There's been a few times where Showtime's done enough with the AWP to stop it, but this time doesn't have the chance with that, merely a FAMAS in hand. So, working with limited amounts, Lucas playing headshot. Very little given away so far. Fancy still playing that bait roll. Look at it working perfectly. You can see the silhouettes just vacating the site so instantly. Showtime's hung around a second, and Fancy's done a wonderful job at this. They're pulling back. They're still not sure. They haven't seen the bomb, and now they're starting to worry. And it looks like even TyLoo started to second guess themselves. Time's running out. They've worked out what's happening, but the timing on the flash, not great there. Showtime just gets overrun. The timing went for that pop flash off the top. Already, Captain Mo is pushing up towards site. So 3v2 retake, not looking good here for the Immortals side, and a swift end to it all. Mo gonna just take out Bolts, I believe that was in the end.
Those last flashbangs too was actually screwed up. It looked like one of them wanted to throw it over top of that little platform on Heaven, and he threw it a little bit too low, so he just ended up flashing himself in the face.
Nice.
Had to fall back. So there's like there's a very large amount of unfortunate events with players like clipping their grenades or their bullets off of textures.
Yeah, exactly. Especially at B for some reason. It's, ouch.
Had that play from Showtime with the AWP. We had, I think it was Showtime again, actually, that went back and boosted in T-spawn and then shot the graded fence a couple times. Then we had that molly on the B sites. It's going to be a consistent thing now, but 1-for-1 to start things off here. It is going to be an eco round for the Immortals, though, so any impact they can find is going to be better.
So, Phelps has recovered a gun. That was a Fancy was holding the back play. Quick push towards B for TyLoo here. They've decided that's how they want to approach an eco'd up team against them, and well, so far that's not exactly a great idea. You just kind of pile out with UMP, but DD doing what he can.
Sense
and
is
that's
so high
done
on
enough.
attacker.
It's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
I keep watching it like, is our cameraman drunk? What's going on? It's just...
It's amazing when you think about the fact that like he has to stop that on a dime, and it's moving so quickly. There has to be such minute mouse movements to be able to control that, so it's crazy. But Phelps left alone, nothing he can really do about this, just hiding out outside of the squeaky hallway to try and save.
I really want the cameraman down there to get like, just, you know, you can do like the hand cams when you're doing like streams.
Yeah.
I just want that on attacker, just to see what it's like. In-game. Not right now. But like, honestly, when they're in-game, I'd love to see it. But, you know, like a little Pip, just his hand rolling around, that'd be so sick. But anyway, my nerdiness aside, let's get back to the game, because it is 2 AWPs coming out for Immortals, and so far when TyLoo assumed they were going against that, they've kind of fallen back to those default A's, but not the case this time. Going to be doing a standard start to things, not going to be rushing anywhere, just seeing what they're coming up against more than anything. They have a decent economy built, they have all those mollies there, they can take their time on this. They don't need to be so meticulous and checking every angle, because those mollies will do it for them, and Phelps going walkabouts very early on, and what a connection to begin with. Attacker, no chance to show us that rather curious high sense. Instantly gets sent back to the drawing board.
Showtime looking for some op picks in the back B halls there. He is going to get smoked off initially in the main entryway, and also Molly too a little bit. Blooms a bit more and is going to connect onto him. Just a little bit of damage, only bringing him down to 82 HP, so not a big deal. And he's going to get a bit adventurous. That flashbang that was tossed out from the site allows him to find a connection. He almost grabs another one onto somebody who falls back into the corner just outside of Checkers. Peeking Sunroom again. And with that, that's going to shut it down. Lucas and Phelps find the final 2 kills, but it was definitely Showtime that made the impact to close out the round.
His name perfectly summarizes the way he plays sometimes. That's just like an audacious play to be that, you know, close up, just going for it, and stays around as well. Like this, okay, this is fine. And then, like, rather than backing out or trying to back away, he's got support there. He still stays out, still takes the fight, and still wins it. It's actually pretty impressive to see. But scoreline-wise, we're at 5-8. TyLoo in the lead, and not suffering from, I guess, the issues we previously saw as much. But again, these buys might start coming through. And the economy's been in their favor the vast majority, so you haven't really seen them put in the position of pressure they were before. They started to kind of, I guess, wane under it, getting a little bit strained by it. And now we're going to be seeing the Tech 9 there for somebody. It's easy for Fancy, so far from perfect, but enough to operate on, and I want to see how they come into this knowing they have a disadvantage.
Fancy creeping his way up to the squeaky hallways now to try and make some noise, and possibly looking for an impact kill or 2, but Immortals have such a close grasp on what's going on there. Just leap over to try and find the intel, and actually doesn't take a whole lot of damage too, so not exactly sure what he was able to see from that sort of perspective, considering he's moving around so much, but he spotted Lucas. That is some good intel to work on if they decide to roll into this site.
Might be a bit of a mid-play ground. They still obviously have the AWP there, so they might as well actually look for some opportunities. Kenny not really giving much credence to this, sitting very much passively towards mid, but there's the aggression being met by some force. It's Attacker denying Lucas that walkout that he's been doing consistently. This could spur on this A here, and it looks like they do want to go for that A hit. Again, Fancy starting to consider his options. Can he make it out through Squeaky here? He's got the door wide open. Phelps having to back around it, and DD catching out Bolts is going to encourage this more than ever. Phelps is the last standing line. He's been on screaming, this is where they die, but he doesn't get anything done from it. Attacker still plucks him out of the air, and this is just unbelievable stuff. Again, even though they had a perfect hold on this, TyLoo just looking so methodical, so clinical about it, bursting into that site.
And that last kill comes from nowhere, it seems. Captain Mo with the op shot just point blank shuts down the remaining members of the Immortals there. And should you know too, Attacker's last frag that he finds against Phelps is done with like 10 HP, so still able to pick that up very, very quick. Some incredibly accurate aim from him. Again, considering the high sense that he can still find these kills that quickly, not struggling at all to control the spray or even just find the one-taps that are needed to close out players quickly enough when he's very low.
Wow, this is worrying times for Immortals. These guys are such a good team, and this is a good map for them as well. Historically, this is quite weird to see, and they're even trying their usual, not usual tricks, but I guess kind of, you know, this aggression that they're so known for, you know, pushing up portions of the map, and it's going to be Phelps again tested first. This time does get the better of DD.
It does sort of make you wonder in the fact that they are struggling now, if this is becoming an issue just at major qualifiers, whether the pressure is getting to them or not. And again, they start off well, but then they crumble under the pressure a little bit, and TyLoo bounced back. And like we saw this back at the MLG Columbus qualifiers too, they were doing great leading up to that event. It seemed like they were going to be a surefire qualification team, but all of a sudden they just lost all of that prowess that they had in the previous weeks, and unfortunately ended up bowing out there.
Yeah, worrying signs for Immortals fans. Certainly not over, but not a great scoreline to go into the second half with. Again, you'd assume more from arguably the favourites coming into this game. But still, 2 players into this round. Lucas and Bolts looking for some way to turn the tide, but it's looking like, well, that ship sailed at this point. Bolt's going to back away, knows that there's one in mid, but still no real information as to where the bomb's going or where the final hit from TyLoo's coming into, because these guys have been so fluid throughout these maps. A hit, B hit, great mid control. They're doing everything. A wonderful playbook here, and there's the B open. There's nothing they can do here. Bolt's about to get caught out, found by CT, and Fancy just straight up taking the fight. And what a sick start for TyLoo. Looking good so far, but as said, the game is far from over yet. We have another half to come up, so guys, do stay tuned. We'll be back in a second. Welcome back, and in case you missed it, we are at 10-5 on the half here. TyLoo in the lead going into the second half. However, they will be on the CT side, and Immortals have their chance at redemption after a rather hushed beginning to this matchup. And already it looks as though the A-stacks will be coming through here for the CT side now, being TyLoo.
TyLoo going to be moving in to boost somebody up to the Shroud spot now. It's going to be Attacker that places himself up there, and we've already seen him performing in these clutch situations before. Now he gets to do it on the CT side, where he's already in a stable position too. So we'll see what he can do against the Immortals, assuming they do go for the A take. Winding up a lot of their players in middle right now, but there is that pressure working its way into A main. Showtime is ready to go. Lucas trying to bait out somebody from peeking from Z there, trying to take the long-range duel. It gives his teammate a bit of room to actually push up too, so Phelps getting a dangerous amount of control on Highway, and look at him just sneaking his way all the way up. This could absolutely destroy Attacker's position if he spots it in time. He's going to see it, but actually Attacker spots him first. He'll be eliminated though by Phelps. Showtime finding the second mark as he now works his way out from A main. That takes down somebody. Fancy though is trying to hold, brought down to 1 HP from that grenade, but still somehow alive there. Finally being taken down by Fancy, and it's down to DD and Captain Mo, and in comes the flank from mid. Lucas finds the first pickup. Captain Mo trying to pull off a miracle here, 1v3, and it just doesn't seem like it's going to be possible at this point. Immortals with some great play, great positioning to overwhelm TyLoo. Should give them a pistol round victory here.
Yeah, and TyLoo were left starving for information throughout that round. As soon as the plays up Highway came in, you saw the boost being irrelevant, and it just shattered underneath it. So good stuff here from Immortals to get this one beginning early. You can see them just getting themselves pumped back up. You know, this game isn't over. It's very much still in the bag, and 4 rifles coming out. That is a heavy investment into this round. No SMGs really to be seen aside from Henny's. That's it. And of course, if he's going for the AWP, that's more than acceptable. It's weird only seeing 1, if anything. So again, round by round, these guys are treating this incredibly harshly. And TyLoo going in with the CZs, a little bit of armor. Mo just going to be absconding away from that.
3 stack on the A bomb site here too. A lot of pressure being placed in there. Fancy's actually going to be abandoned mid pretty early on when he doesn't spot any pressure. And DD is really the only member of the team really fully committing himself over to the B bomb site to defend in that direction. Beyond this though, Immortals, no reason to rush anything as of yet. They're sort of just exploring their options right now. Bolt's creeping up a little bit closer to the site. He does spot the player over there on the right side. DD finds the first mark. Phelps, dropping in from the vents, very quickly makes up for that by eliminating DD. In the meantime though, Fancy was able to get himself up on the site, but when it comes time to party, he's not ready for it. He's eliminated, and on the way back from the A bomb site, Henny's also going to take down somebody.
Good stuff from Immortals, again rotating well, taking nothing for granted in this. They've overwhelmed that B site. They have the bomb certainly being planted, and the only one who could stop anything here would be Attacker, but merely a CZ and a bit of armor, no utility to try and do a pop flash, work his way in. This looks pretty much settled. He may be able to get a couple on the way out, hopefully for him. With no defuse kit, there's no ninjas in sight here at this point. Showtime going to back away. Henny already going hunting, looking around. I think they've got a good idea he might be there as well. You can see Showtime sitting like, you sure he's not at CT? Because they're so worried about this, and Lucas backing off as well. Attacker, oh there we go, he just peers around the corner, will be found in the end. So TyLoo unable to retain anything out of this round. 4 players left standing for Immortals. The SMG still in the hands of Henny, so if he wants to stick on that, still try and build some cash, he certainly can do. Lucas can reinvest, and we're all well set. Now TyLoo on the other hand have absolutely sod all, if I'm honest. Well, none of them really want to buy too far into this one. P250, a flash, and that's all they have.
And so now for TyLoo is when they really are going to start to test themselves, since they're not getting themselves off to the hot start that they had going in the last step here. They don't have a foundation to build off of. They actually do have to rebuild their economy in a normal way, but this round they're going to be trying something extremely aggressive. Everybody pushing inside of A main, but this is not working at all. Henny and Showtime shutting this down with no problem whatsoever. Even switching over to pick up that last kill as well. So let's handle that bit of a rush with pizzazz. And now we're only going to be 2 rounds away from tying this up against TyLoo.
Yeah, it was pretty nice from Henny there, just sitting in the anti-flash, waiting for the pop flash to come in main. He had the support from behind him, as you spotted out, with Showtime there. So this A main push was just pretty much scrapped as soon as it happened. But now here comes the buy. But looking at it this way, Immortals have a lot to work with. They have that full utility to supplement this. They've got the AWP on Henny playing down by A. But now how did TyLoo greet this? It looks like with aggression, somebody already going to get himself in mid, and he hasn't been spotted. Phelps right beside him. This is going to be unbelievable. Who finds who first? And somebody turns in time, catches out Phelps, now looks for more, goes towards boost, catches a bit of a tag towards either Bolt or Henny, I think that was, and still carries on. This is audacious play from somebody. Not going to be left just sitting in the back lines there, now leaving merely Immortals with 3. They're going to be operating at such a loss. And look at that stack. What?
All this play happening in mid from somebody and doing all that damage for whatever reason has not caused anybody from TyLoo to shift away to the B bomb site. They are fully committed to a defense right here, and Immortals are very clearly now working their way into the A site. just now we can see players like Attacker and Captain Mo contemplating a shift closer towards middle and eventually up to that A site. But for now, the members of Immortals are basically just going to be able to walk right into this A bomb site. They are starting to shift away from now on that CT side there, but this is a very low adjustment. And in all honesty, with this current positioning, Immortals definitely have a way back into this round.
This is terrifying to watch. Attacker's going to be able to evade the flash at least, but by now he's got a good position, but he needs to buy time. Captain Mo's there, but pretty far out. Good work from Attacker to at least deny Bolt. Comes back in on the second peak, spots out the bomb. Henny takes him down though, and this is not looking good. Okay, we're left in a 2v2. This is pretty deadly, and somehow they retain the advantage they had, but against it was a 4v2 pretty much. That's not as smooth as you'd like to see, and that B stack was just so kind of just straightforward. Like, we're just going to stay here. We're not going to move. It's got to be a B hit. They were trying to split mid, and they were just locked in.
Somebody with just that raw aggression there towards middle starts things off with chaos, and then on the site, it's DD that's able to actually roll in and pick up these final 2 kills. This is before the plant comes in as well, so nicely done from them. Denies Immortals that bit of extra income, gonna run the money quite low, quite quickly here. As if they win this one in a row, they should be able to drop Immortals right onto an eco and be able to keep that lead going, which is still in their favor quite dominantly if they can pick up this one.
And they're purposely isolating Mo there with the AWP in towards main, so just kind of leaving him very much isolated from everyone else. The smoke behind him, he's going to try and lock that off. He has to be quite cautious, just to the fact that there are actually 2 players in Squeaky. He doesn't know that yet. But that's quite the downfall. He will be very much left all to his lonesome at this point. If they do go for that A pinch, he has to make that impact count. But again, Fancy going to move up with him, get some support going there. And a very cautious round coming out from Immortals, running the clock a little lower. As Mo's now going to have his first challenge by aiming. Misses a sitter, an absolute sitter you should be hitting most days of the week. Now, how does he escape this position? It comes increasingly hard. Just about makes it out. No pressure to follow up from Showtime. There it is suddenly. The pinch comes in. Will they actually try and bound off the back of this though?
Fancy trying to wrap himself closer into the site itself. They know the pressure's going to be coming out here pretty soon, but Immortals taking their time about it. We could see that attempt to get themselves out towards middle fails. Somebody holds the line once again, and the op shot ringing through to try and grab them through the box there, but it's definitely not going to be connecting. And for whatever reason, that grenade was thrown out too. Somebody still holds the line with only 19 HP left, takes down Lucas. Not least with that Molly's tosses up on top too, denying any more pressure from coming in. Captain Mo now joins the party back in mid, finds 2 pickups of his own, taking down Bolts and Showtime, and everything falls into Henny's hands now with no bomb control, and I don't even think it's physically possible for him to get it back, because I think it's up on boost right now.
Oh, that'd be depressing. And you might be spot on. Even if that's the case, Henny would have to go above and beyond here. That's a good start, but with 10 seconds left, staying alive is the only thing in his mind, and that's not going to happen. And what a colossal performance in mid from somebody so far. This guy is having a big impact, and he's been pressured. He's had 2 players pushing him. He's been relentlessly aggressive, though, just pushing straight through the mid smoke after picking up 1 maybe. You know, finding 1 on boost, wherever it is, he'll work off the back. That guy is having a very big impact so far, at least into this half. Now, looking at the scoreline, 12-8. TyLoo still in the lead here, starting to bound back after that pistol loss. But they need to start stringing this together, keep this one going, not lose any sloppy rounds if they want to close this out, looking pretty dominant so far. And again, Immortals still so deadly, still looking like they're waiting to become themselves. It's a bit of a shadow of what they can normally perform to the standard of.
Phelps will be waiting back over here towards the edge of the mid garage while the rest of the team goes very, very fast into the B bomb site now. Funneling out here, trying to take down Fancy immediately, but actually it's going to be DD that goes first, back by the head glitch box. Fancy though, peeking back out here in the corner, is going to get dinked out of nowhere it would seem, down to 22 HP, but now Attacker has joined the party.
Oh,
this has been
Molly.
the big man in the show, and that Molly's going to force them all out. Henny though with a good pickup takes down Captain Mo. They're somehow keeping this together, but Attacker is still alive and well. Back in the checkers room, same thing with Fancy. Lucas and Showtime are the last 2 alive, and Lucas only with a single health point. He's going to fall first. They try to transfer the spray, but Showtime keeps it going. Now Attacker up on the site, trying to finish this back up, but he actually can't eliminate him just as of yet. He finishes it off though with 19 HP left, and he should have enough time to grab this defuse. Attacker again comes out with a big clutch, a 3K for him. It gives TyLoo their 13th round.
Counter-terrorists win.
This game is getting manic here. Immortals now, after a closely fought round, keeping the economy pretty low for TyLoo. They're not having to build up these huge funds yet, so this is still very much on a knife's edge, and well, somebody's going back in with a UMP, so not going on the full buy here. Money obviously not great for him either, but kind of going to be a bit of a struggle considering they're coming up against the Immortal side with everything they need, utility, AWP on Henny. They've got what they want here. Let's see what they're going to bring into this, because they need to do something good. And it looks like, again, insane amount of attention towards mid from TyLoo. What a difference. Before they negated it, they completely forgo having presence. Now, somebody, I guess, isn't holding it. He's pushing through it. He's round the back already. Bolts is aware of this, though. Bolts has a good idea what's coming his way, but he doesn't check it in time, and all the information gets found. He does get dealt with by Henny, but still, they see everything. And instantly, that 3-play stacked towards A play is going to find its form. You've got Attacker, DD, Captain Mo all there, and Fancy just lingering over by B, and here comes the play. But the flashes are perfect from Immortals, overwhelming the side completely. Mo is still alive and still has some presence. But those smokes, what they would normally cause a hindrance, but it doesn't seem to matter for Mo. But now just Fancy left in a 1v3. That bomb's going to go down any second now. And it looks like Immortals have just about reined in control in this round.
Such a brutal battle in order to get that control to begin with, though. And for Fancy, he's going to be wrapping around. I'm not entirely sure. He's actually going to move in, and I think he's going to have a free kill on Henny. So this might prompt him to go back in. But no, Henny is actually watching for the flank. So does take him out of the picture. And with that, Immortals not done fighting just as of yet. They'll find a 9th round, and should be noted too, at the end of not this most recent round, but the one before it, they failed to recover an op that Attacker tried to go for, which brought their money down dangerously low because they reinvested for it. Had they have not gone for that buy, they may have been a justifiable force up here with 3 players being able to pick up rifles, but now it's completely out of the question. Just going to be upgrading pistols this time.
And I'm kind of curious how they actually play this out with money now coming into one, because they have a good lead. 13-9 is pretty respectable here. So I want to see if they, can retain some calm here. Henny's going to be waiting for that B push. It still looks calm when he's doing the flash behind him then, but looking a little panicked as TyLoo were closing in. Lucas going to be joining him, and pretty much shooting fish in the barrel at this point until Henny's kind of whiffed it a little bit, but a bit of damage done, but no really recoverable rifles. DD's going to make a mad dash, gets 45 HP for it, and killed in the end.
That last fish is a bit slippery, as DD does manage to escape the clutches of Showtime and Henny for at least a little bit. They'll eventually take him down. Now everything falls into the hands of Fancy, though, and with 1-on-4, just the P250, he could hope to maybe find a lucky pickup or two if he can get a positional advantage, but inside of the vents, and there's that pickup that he was looking for. He takes down Phelps, actually does have an AK in hand. He didn't take a whole load of damage from that. Not only this, but he has armor sitting behind it as well. But as soon as he moves out of the vents, Bolt is going to correct that issue from just a few moments ago. Takes him down, and another round will go up onto the board for the Immortals.
10-13 now. Money for TyLoo. Still pretty here, there, and everywhere. So again, going to go for just the pistols. CZs, 5.7s, little bit of armor, and a diffuse kit. So again, not very much to be working with here. Still very limited, and again, into this B push. They're so desperate to take down Henny. And this one, he actually might get overwhelmed here. 3 HP this time. He's not going to be able to get away with it. There we go. Finally, a bit of punish comes in, and even more to follow. Bolt going down as well.
He threw the op for some reason there.
Was he meant to... What?
Yeah,
Did he try and throw it away, maybe, from them?
It went into the transition hallway there. I don't even know why he tried to throw it, but oh, Fancy. It's sneaky on Showtime there, able to take him down, and then he somehow finds that second kill against Lucas. I have no clue what just transpired in this round, but Immortals just dropped the ball completely. And now on what was still essentially just an eco with upgraded pistols from TyLoo, they've brought it down to a 4-on-1.
They didn't even have particularly much armor. They had a couple of players with it, but Phelps is just left standing going, guys, what the hell just happened around me? Why are you all dead? Why does Fancy have only flushes CZ in this game that seems to work at those distances? No one understands these things, but Phelps now is just going to be peeked out left, right, and center. And there he goes a little too far, sadly, and there it is. TyLoo turn it around, 14-10. Even though they had absolutely nothing to start with in that round, apart from a couple of pistols and a bit of armor. Look at it. This is just great. Fancy.
Ooh, that shot.
That's nuts.
None of that too, but that was really weird what happened with Henny. That had to be a misclick of some sorts, or a missed key or something, because it looked like he tossed his op on the ground for like no reason, and then he tried to recover from it, but he only had the pistol, so it caused a really awkward chain of events that he got knocked out by, and everything just slipped away from there because of that push with the CZ.
And now TyLoo have all the control. They have the reins in their hands, and I'm loving how they're playing this with so much versatility. Again, not playing the same way through this. You've got somebody rather than pushing mid or playing close mid. You've got DD up in vents, kind of creating the crossfire with Mo. And it's keeping Immortals on their toes. They can't just play to a default standard. They can't just assume it's the same old thing. It's changing round by round, and I'm loving how they're approaching it. But again, let's see how this kind of unfolds here, because Immortals have a lot to work with in this round, and they're going to use it well. Phelps gets off to a cracker there. That's going to be Mo removed from this. That's the AWP gone as well. So suddenly, a little bit of a loss here. TyLoo needs to be very careful this doesn't unravel beneath them.
But unfortunate for Captain Mo. You can see he was just scoping in on Phelps a few moments before that, but unfortunately unscoped immediately after he spotted him, and that allowed Phelps to right back out there and take him down. Now Henny looking for a second pickup. The molly goes inside the vents there and is going to force DD back into the site itself. Still very slow and very quietly being played from the Immortals. Besides this little bit of utility they've been tossing out here or there, and the one frag which rung true for Phelps to be able to take down Captain Mo, and opening up mid too, very important for them. They have had a bit more trouble getting beyond that onto highway here, but now comes the actual site tick, and they do have attacker to deal with up on top, but a good flashbang allows them into the site. Somebody getting a bit distracted, had numerous targets to work with and couldn't concentrate on a single one, so Showtime's also going to take him down. DD does find one pickup, but that may prove to be the only one they can find, as now he's dealing with a 4v1, and he's already given this up. It's time to just run away and let them have the round.
Yeah, and money-wise, probably not a bad shout. They are pretty kind of, there's a bit of a disparity between what they're sat on, so if he can keep that, drop it out to a teammate maybe, or just work their way into the later rounds, not a bad plan. There's no need to rush these things or kind of play hap-handed at this point. 10-14 is a very respectable scoreline for TyLoo. They can happily close down towards the later parts in this, but again, Immortals showing they're not out of it just yet, and you can see at the forefront who's really leading the way in these ones. It's pretty much Phelps and Henny. That's, I don't know where the others are, and the thing is, normally Boltz is a huge impact on this map. He plays individually an incredibly important role for this team here normally, but he's been extremely quiet.
It's not the first time either. I think he was having some performances yesterday as well in a couple very key rounds, so a couple of players that you expect to show up and shine for Immortals is not really doing that job as much. Henny, to a certain degree, I think, was definitely improved in performance from yesterday, because he was another player that, actually, if I remember correctly, I think he was bottom fragging their game yesterday, and that was what I was like really disappointed of. Or at the very least, he was nowhere near what we expected him to be, but he's recovered from that. So the battle is still looking much better overall for the Immortals, but they put them into a very rough spot now. TyLoo are going to be going for the buy right here. Does allow them with enough rifles. They are going to have to be somebody downgrading themselves into a UMP, but beyond this, it's still a decent amount of utility being bought up, and the 4 rifles beyond that should easily make up for the UMP downgrade.
And again, though, somebody normally likes to take himself through mid, but without the utility or, I guess, the weaponry to challenge, he's going to have to adapt through that. Down on the UMP, he's going to take himself towards A, could pop flash through the smoke, try and take some presence. But while it happens, Phelps is starting to work the mid control. Being greeted by a smile, this time by Captain Mo, who previously got shot down pretty early with the AWP in the last round. Going to retain his position this time and get the first frag on the board in this round for TyLoo. But again, Immortals with a very slow approach to this one, being pretty meticulous, seeing if there's any aggression coming out throughout this map. And so far, not so much, but we're seeing that bit of a later A stack coming in. And here's that late round aggressive play, and it's dangerous and it's deadly for a good reason. Henny is able to peek into it perfectly. He's been holding the angle quite passively, and we're back to a 4v4.
Now, Immortals, taking their time, seems to have worked out very good for themselves, no longer rushing into these sites. TyLoo has been able to abuse this and cause just a numerous amount of chaos that they can abuse. Somebody trying to toss something out there to hold them back a little bit, but is actually retrieving something for himself there as well as he falls back and away into that one. Now for the remaining members of the Immortals, that they do need to get into this site very soon, because there is still the Prez to deal with inside of that bomb site itself. The boost coming out, and he tries to go for the flick, but is not going to make the connection, and he himself is going to get shot down a little bit. Nothing too much to worry about, though. And now the rest of the Immortals are just going to start to funnel into this bomb site. Captain Mo gets aggressive, though, moves out, finds that first pickup. Flashbang from the T side actually ends up screwing Lucas over, and he's going to go down to Captain Mo. Bolt striking back, but that's way over in middle. It's not really going to affect this A bomb site play, and they've got 15 seconds now to get onto this site, find the bomb, or dispatch the remaining 3 players. Good shot from Henny. Very quick scope in. Fancy, though, is going to respond back from the truck angle, takes him down. Henny's trying to move in and pick up these final 2 kills, but he knows they're going to be sitting back now. He can't find it, and now he's just going to duck his head down. They're even going to let the timer run down. They're going to move in to kill him. Finds the first one, can't find that second. Pick up the knife coming in, and oh my goodness, Fancy! Adding insult to injury there, closes it out with the knife. An extra 1,500 for him, and no money at all for Henny surviving at the end of that round.
And they needed that extra money. They've been able to actually go on a decent buy off the back of that. That is absolutely sick stuff from TyLoo. What a way to get towards match point. 15-11. Immortals are just crumbling under the pressure that TyLoo are bringing. Oh, this is a sick game, and it's not over yet. One more round, at least for TyLoo. That's what they're aiming for. And Immortals need to recover. They need to go on some sort of recovery mission at this point, because they're down pretty low. They've got 2 Tech 9s, limited economy, and it looks like a big B hit's about to be built up here.
So now, TyLoo up on match point, and especially with what just transpired at the end of that round, that's going to cause some issues for Immortals. They need to reset from that and just focus on the task ahead of them here. It's going to be very direct, at least for a majority of their players, working into the site. Flashbangs across both sides. It actually keeps DD alive. He gets himself back up onto the platform, taking down Lucas to start this one off, finding a second blow as well in order to eliminate Bolts. They're falling very quickly here, and more reinforcements are on the way in. It's all TyLoo at this point, and they're going to earn this. Everything goes into the hands of Phelps, but Fancy's going to close it out, and with that, TyLoo move out of the bottom pool, 16-11 against the Immortals, and they win their first match here at the ESL 1 qualifiers.
What a performance as well from TyLoo. It started off well on their first half. You start to get a little bit of hope, a little bit of faith going, okay, these guys are looking better. The issues that plagued them previously had disbanded, but now they look solid. They looked impressive. And they showed some incredible talent along that lineup. But you've got to say, Immortals look timid. And maybe that curse that you were talking about might actually start being a real thing at this point.
In all honesty, it's worth thinking about now as to whether, all right, does the pressure just get to them when it comes to major qualification time? They've been still increasing themselves. They were able to qualify for the ESL Pro League when they won the ESA Premier Finals a couple weeks ago. They've been still having some very impressive land placements, getting second back at Austin, constantly rising, but when it comes time to qualify for majors, they're still struggling, and now they're only one loss away from being knocked out entirely in their last match tomorrow if they do end up bowing out there.
That's terrifying for such a, I guess, top-tier team. They are a high-quality team, Immortals, and they looked absolutely shattered in that game. Bolts was missing, and Bolts has been a huge factor, especially on cash for them. This is a good map for Immortals. This is not a map that you're going to go, oh, this could be a close game on. In theory, it shouldn't have been a close game. They picked up incredible wins even recently on that sort of map, but again, maybe a little bit of what you said, the curse coming true throughout this one. But again, I think that's enough from us. I want to hear what it's like down the stage there. Mitch, take it away.
Thank you very much, Pansy and Blue. And that was probably one of the most explosive games we have seen so far. And on that note, it is my distinct pleasure to be joined on the stage here by Fancy and by Marshall as well, who will be translating for this interview. Now, TyLoo, this isn't your first appearance, obviously, sort of at a foreign event as well. You guys, we saw you at Malmo, but I did also know that you guys were hunting down Kenny S's autograph last night at one stage. What does it mean to you to be playing up against your idols that you've watched for so long?
Yeah. 就主要是那个也是还是抱着心态来学习那种，就是哎呦我不用，你还说。
I think we will just have the mindset to be a black horse, just try to play against every strong team that we were actually watching them at home, but now we are here to try to fight against them and to win them.
So on that note, you guys have a very distinct style. I think it's clear to see you play the game very differently. Your understanding of the game is also quite different to a lot of the teams that you're going up against at this event. We see a lot of fairly aggressive buying as well. You guys will spend a lot of money to buy pistols, perhaps when some other teams would normally save here, and you make it work for you. But tell us what the reasoning is or the mindset behind always forcing up, spending that money, and I guess in some rounds that some other people might consider a little bit risky.
说的就是我们很多时候在于我们钱不是很多也不是很少的时候，我们会去买手枪，就我们会花很多钱来抢起或者说 force buy， 然后这一点是心里是怎么想的？为什么要这样做？
跟平时训练有关，因为我们平时训练的时候也是这样子玩的，习惯问题，而且起的话也有很可能会翻盘嘛。
He thinks it's just our habit. And when we were playing, when we were training, we just always do this. So, and we think there's more chance for us to come back to take the round.
Well, thank you so much to you guys for joining us here as well. We hopefully get another opportunity to talk to you guys as well. Everyone really is raving about TyLoo and very interested to hear some insights from you guys. So best of luck for the next few matches. I hope, Alex, that gives you a bit to go on here as well. TyLoo coming out of the gates, breaking out of that lower pool in absolute style. We saw some pretty memorable moments from that game. Why don't you tell us what yours were?
I mean, for one, was just the noise that these two teams were making. It seems that we managed to find two of the noisiest teams present in CSGO at the moment. Great to, and I just love that we're at the stage now in this game where we have Brazil versus China battling for a spot at the major. It was super cool just to see that and to see just how worldwide this game is. This time, though, it does go the way of China, which is certainly exciting to see just how far TyLoo can push this, but also all Immortals fans are now on the edge of their seat because it is going to be a battle for survival come tomorrow. Gentlemen, let's talk about Cash. This time it worked for TyLoo. Didn't quite work versus G2. Let's talk about this one.
Well, they were on a knife's edge for quite some time there early on their T side, actually. They were pretty much going back and forth all the time with TyLoo, no, or with Immortals, actually. You could see a couple of rounds where, well, especially the first round where Immortals actually have a bit of a force buy where Henny has the op and they buy up behind it. You know, that sends TyLoo back into a horrible situation where they have to force up with a couple of Tech 9s, a Galil here and there, and that kind of thing. And if that doesn't go the way of TyLoo, if they don't come out victorious out of that fight for economy, this could very easily go the way of Immortals.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously the game started so that the TyLoo lost the pitch round, then winning an actual eco round, just getting P250.
It looked accidental.
But already there, you could tell that they had more restraint than what they did versus Envy.
And also on the CT side, it was good to see that they were playing middle a little bit more, especially in the early rounds.
Up.
Yep, they have player and sandbags. One
somebody, right?
Yep, somebody was there. Yeah, I mean, they would take control of middle early on, but then fall back into their normal play on the A side, play on the B side, because they managed to produce an advantage situation a lot of the rounds.
No, just actually kind of bringing up something you said in the green room, Natty. You said this is a team with depth to their play. Maybe you could explain to someone at home what you mean when you say a team it has a depth to their play.
Well, there's a lot of, I guess, ways you can look at it, but in this particular case, it means that all these five players have so much firepower that it doesn't matter. Like, a lot of the times we talk about how if this and this player from Team X doesn't show up, they're going to be in deep trouble. Well, TyLoo kind of doesn't have that issue because they will always have those 2 to 3 players out of those 5 players that will be able to produce. Therefore, I mean, they're always going to be dangerous. And
just a quick wrap up from you, Halvor. We are going to be trying to move on. We've got so many best of ones to give you, so we do want to keep things quick. But just wrap up between TyLoo and Immortals.
Very impressed by TyLoo. Good to see them making the adaptations and changes needed from their first game yesterday. And good to see Fancy stepping up versus bigger and better opponents than what we usually see.
And now that does put Immortals in the lower part of the bracket now. 0 and 2, that means they'll be meeting a team that matches that. Imagine, as Vendetta quite eloquently put, imagine if Dignitas lose this next game. We could have an elimination match between Dig and Immortals. It's all ifs and buts, but still, that is coming up next. Dignitas are going to have to prove themselves versus the CIS beasts that is Empire. We'll be looking at that in just a moment.